I'm out here standing in a beautiful area out here, and the sun's shining, and there's a lot of water and stuff. What I'm coming to talk with you about is a situation that happened in the United States. This TRC audio broadcast was recorded outside, live, on location. This was in Washington, D.C. back in 2000, or it was 2001. One of those, about 15, 16 years ago, what have you, when Washington, D.C. had a far worse lead catastrophe, lead contamination problem than what recently took place, and it's still ongoing in Flint, Michigan. Washington, D.C. in 2000 and 2001 had a huge lead catastrophe that happened there. And I would like to ask you to go and research this, because if you remember, back in 2000 and 2001 and henceforth, there's been a lot of stuff that's been forgotten because of 9/11 that took place, that erased a lot of other important issues that was going on in our country. So I think that was one of the reasons why this huge story got, pushed to the wayside, is because of other issues that came up. And, the mainstream media focuses on what's going on like now, and as you know, or if you may not know, what we like to do here at the Top Cats Pride channel is rehash or update important situations that we think still needs attention. So this is why I wanted to wrap with you for a second, is because research Washington, D.C. lead contamination problem. Just put that into your favorite search engine, and you will be absolutely surprised that 15, 16 years ago, this huge problem that we think is just going on in Flint, Michigan, well, come to tell you, it's actually not just going on in Flint, Michigan. It's not actually just going on in Jackson, Mississippi, if you haven't seen the video that we uploaded about that. Or it's not just going on in New Jersey, or in Ithaca, New York, or in other parts of Pennsylvania, or in Sebring, Ohio. This is a huge problem. The main thing is, outside of checking out the Washington, D.C. Contamination problem that happened 15 years ago. I mean, there were many people that were poisoned. The situation didn't get ironed out. And I was a bit appalled, to be honest with you, because Washington, D.C., of course, is our capital. This is where the president is. And I just couldn't imagine how could the infrastructure in the state capital, where most of our money seems to go through taxes, $1 trillion a year, how in the hell could that occur there? And it was very well just pushed to the side. And by the way, the wind is blowing out here, so if it's a little bit breezy in the microphone, just bear with me, because I had to share this with you. On our channel, we recently did a video that was about all of the states of the 50 United States having lead problems. Here we have the outstanding article from usatoday.com in reference to the huge, or may I even use the word gigantic, problem with lead in water in the United States. As it says here, beyond Flint, excessive lead levels found in almost 2,000 water systems across all 50 states. Tests for cities, rural subdivisions, and even schools and daycares serving water to 6 million people have found excessive and harmful levels of lead. This fantastic article is by Allison Young and Mark Nichols, also from USA Today. 15 parts per billion, according to our EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, is the limit. However, the EPA also says that There's no safe lead limit. This is a lead and copper rule from the EPA's website, which stands for the Environmental Protection Agency, at www.epa.gov. When you go to this website, all you have to do is just look up this headline, Lead and Copper Rule. Use your favorite search engine and search for EPA lead and copper rule. What you'll see when you arrive at this page is the rule summary here. And I'll just skip down here to this little area right here. And it talks about the lead and copper rule actionable levels, which are 15 parts per billion for lead. Lead concentration, as it says here, when it exceeds action level of 15 parts per billion, or concentrations or copper concentrations exceed an action level of 1.3 parts per million in more than 10% of customer taps sampled. The system must undertake a number of additional actions to control corrosion. So again, for lead is 15 parts per billion. For copper, it's 1.3 parts per million. But both are problems in the water system in the United States. So it appears to me like if we don't check out the situation, look after each other, we can't obviously depend on the officials to do it. So again, look up the Washington, D.C. situation that happened in 2000 or 2001. I'm not sure. It's one of those. And this is 15 years ago, and educate yourself on that. And please, pass that on to your family, because, hey, that's the only way we can stay safe. This story is being provided to you by WTOP.com. And today is May 3rd, 2016. The author of this article is Neil Augenstein from April 4th, 2016. And it says here, before Flint, DC's drinking water crisis was even worse. Yes, Washington, D.C. had this problem of lead being in their water back in 2000. And I'm sure the aftermath is still ongoing. Before Flint, Michigan, the nation's capital dealt with its own lead and water crisis. And that was according to this website and Mr. Neil Augenstein, or Augenstein, depending on who you ask. There's an editor's note there that says this is part one of a special report examining DC's drinking water. And this is one of a 4-part report. And I will be leaving the information, the link in the description box for you to travel over here to this page at WTOP.com to fully inform yourself with this fantastic article that I would like to thank them for. It says here, Washington, lessons learned the hard way in the aftermath of DC's 2004 water crisis are benefiting residents of Flint, Michigan, who have been forced to deal with lead in their water. Lessons learned the hard way, 2004, ladies and gentlemen. This is 2016. People don't realize this. The extent of the problem in DC was about 20 to 30 times larger than Flint, says Virginia Tech environmental engineer Marc Edwards, who has been instrumental in researching the immediate and long-term effects of lead in water in both the District of Columbia and Flint. There was more lead poisoning, more exposure of people. Lead is a toxic metal that, when ingested through paint, water, and soil, can cause brain damage, behavioral problems, and developmental problems. In 2004, the Washington Post reported that a change in water treatment chemicals at the federally operated Washington Aqueduct in 2000 had inadvertently triggered the absorption of lead from the district's aging lead service lines and lead pipes in older homes. Although testing by Washington's Water and Sewer Authority, which is called WASA, or known also as WASA, which changed its name to DC Water in 2010, revealed increased lead levels in 2000. The information was not widely disseminated until the Post investigative report. So, until the Post investigated and published the information, the people in Washington, D.C. didn't even know this problem was prevalent, was going on, was causing them great danger. Imagine the officials did not tell the people about it for whatever reason. People went crazy because they realized their families had been exposed to high lead without really knowing about it, Edwards said. No, they didn't really know about it. No, Mr. Edwards, they didn't know about it at all. Ironically, it wasn't a cost-saving matter like we've seen alleged in Flint. This was a result of a protective rule for health coming out of the Environmental Protection Agency called the Disinfectant Byproduct Rule, said George Hawkins, CEO and General Manager of DC Water, who joined the agency in 2009. In 2000, Hawkins said the Washington Aqueduct, managed by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, which runs the water treatment system for DC, was changing from chlorine to chloramine, which is a mixture of chlorine and ammonia, to reduce disinfectant byproducts. So, people are also drinking harmful chemicals in the water. Chlorine and ammonia. Yes, I know what they're used for. Disinfectants. I understand, but nevertheless, those are chemicals that humans should not be consuming. Your water should be filtered, period, even for chlorine and ammonia, as well as lead, as well as copper. The change from chlorine to chloramine unexpectedly reduced decades of protective mineral coating or scaling from the lead service lines, which carry drinking water from the utilities' neighborhood pipes into a home's plumbing system. That allowed lead to leach into the water and caused lead levels to rise in the drinking water in the city because of the existence of that source, which is the lead service lines and perhaps pipes, fixtures, and solder inside the home, said Hawkins. News of lead in Washington's drinking water caused intense health concerns among residents. In 2004, with the district's drinking water above the EPA's regulatory threshold for lead levels, water and health officials warned pregnant and breastfeeding women and children to not drink unfiltered water. The agency handed out 30,000 water filters and offered blood testing for concerned residents. At the time, WASA had committed to replacing 7% of its lead service pipes yearly, with the goal of replacing the agency's 23,000 pipes by the year 2010. And if you research that, you'll find that, of course, and I don't like saying this, but of course, that goal has not been obtained. Right underneath this section is an audio that I would like for you to hear, and it's very revealing. So here we go with the audio.
People don't realize this. The extent of the problem in D.C. was about 20 to 30 times worse than Flint. More lead poisoning, more exposure of people.
Civil engineering professor Marc Edwards of Virginia Tech discovered off-the-charts lead levels in tap water in D.C. homes. In 2004, the Washington Post reported after the city's water treatment facility changed its treatment chemicals, D.C.'s Water and Sewer Authority realized lead was leaching from lead service lines into tap water.
People went crazy because they realized that their families had been exposed to high lead for 3 years without really knowing about it.
The aqueduct that runs the water treatment system for Washington, D.C. was changing from chlorines to chloramine, which is a mixture of chlorine and ammonia, to reduce disinfectant byproducts.
George Hawkins is the general manager of D.C. Water, which used to be known as WASA.
What was not known is that would reduce the scaling on the inside of the pipes and allow for lead to leach into the water and cause lead levels to rise in the drinking water in the city.
At the time, WASA handed out free water filters and offered free blood tests, while Edwards began seeing elevated blood levels in young children.
So if you have a lead pipe in front of your house, if you were in my family, I would tell you to never ever drink that water without filtering it.
In our next report, the fix that made matters worse. Neil Augenstein, WTOP News.
Now, I hope you heard what the reporter said towards the end of that news piece there, that the fix that made matters worse was when they replaced the lead service lines, or they attempted to replace the lead service line. So, at this website, WTOP.com, the link to this website will be in the description box. And you can go and fully check out this article and bookmark it and whatever else you would like to do. But I would certainly recommend that you bookmark this site, because WTOP.com makes sure that this information on this site stays updated. That's another audio there. The fix that makes matters worse. That's the second part. And then this article goes on into many other topics relating to this. It's a very, very thorough publication from WTOP.com, as well as a video here about controlling corrosion in lead pipes, etc. Here in 2016, most of us anyway, know about the problem with the lead being in the water from Flint, Michigan. We know about the problem from lead being in the water in Jackson, Mississippi, as well as the 30 schools that were closed in New Jersey just a few weeks ago. Deeper research also shows that this lead problem exists all over the United States. In all 50 states, there are towns that have lead problems, as well as cities. This lead in the water problem is very pervasive, and also the copper problem. Copper being in the water is also a big problem. So getting a filter, and before that, having your water tested, call your local water treatment authority location in order to obtain the proper number or whatever you need to do so that you can have a independent water sample conducted for your home. Whether you live in Washington, D.C. or not, whether you live in Flint, Michigan or Pennsylvania or any other place that's been publicized or not, have your water tested, please. Because there is a very, very deep problem with this and our infrastructure in the United States. I think by realizing that this problem has been going on for at least 16 years, from 2000, like this article shows, from 2000 up to 2016 here, that is 16 years. So I asked myself, how many people have been sickened? How many people have been killed? How many people have Legionnaire's disease? How many children's brains have been destroyed who will be considered mentally disabled or or even worse, as a result of consuming lead, or as they say with these topics on these different sites, being exposed to lead. And like I said, as well as copper being in the water, high levels of copper being in the water is also something that we should be alarmed about. The officials have a record of this, and all the reports that we have on our channel, on our YouTube channel, that's been provided, you'll see that the officials do not tell the residents because they said that they're not required to by law. They say according to the rules from the EPA and all the other laws, the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, they have not broken any laws. So what I've learned is that there is a long extent in between when the authorities find out about the problem to when they have to legally notify the public about the lead contamination problem. There is a long period in there. So, as we saw, there's chemicals also in the water that's to treat the water that we should not be consuming. Therefore, I can easily surmise that there's probably other things that are in the water that are not being reported. Therefore, I would like to emphasize times 10, please get your own water filtration system, and make sure when you get your filter or filters, make sure that they are up to par for the lead that needs to be removed or the copper that needs to be removed from your water. Because if your filter is not up to par and it's too low as far as what it's going to remove, let's say you need to remove 300 parts per billion out of your water, but your filter is only designed to remove 200 parts per billion or 250 parts per billion, well, therein you would have a problem because lead would still be seeping through your filter. And before I get out of here, I just want to share with you one of the things that you need to do if you've been poisoned by lead or copper or any other thing is you need to look into what a chelation therapy is. It's something that you can buy. You can buy a substance called zeolite, and the zeolite helps remove the heavy metals from your body. Research that because you want to get the highest quality zeolite, and it doesn't cost that much in comparison to what it would cost to go to the doctor or go to the hospital. Okay, a chelation therapy. Use your favorite search engine to check that out too. Okay, so I'm Otis Q. Pate here on the Top Cats Pride channel, and we're going to be riding this subject matter until the wheels fall off. And I thank you for joining me. Take care.